Howdy, folks! Welcome to another episode of the Pwamps Show. And once again, it is time to talk sports. What a fully loaded weekend it was in the sports world. We had some great baseball this weekend. We had some great college football. We had some great National Football League action. And we had some crazy news on some coaching decisions. We had some big upsets. We had some injuries. We're going to get to all of that right now. In the world of baseball, we have now officially reached the championship series. It's the American League Championship Series and the National League Championship Series. Who's in it? Here's who we got. We got the Blue Jays and the Seattle Mariners. In the National League, we've got the Brewers and the Dodgers. In college football, let's take a quick look. We had our featured four from last week. We had our other four you had to keep an eye on. Let's go down through it real quickly. Louisiana Tech, they went to Kennesaw State. Big game in Conference USA action. Kennesaw State, 35-7. The Owls, hoot hoot, putting a whooping on Louisiana Tech. Then we have Alabama going into Missouri. A lot of questions about Missouri. Are they legit this year? How would they play? Alabama, 27-24. They looked pretty dang good. Kalen DeBoer's got to be happy with what his boys did going into Mizzou and getting that big win. Maybe the shocker of all, Indiana, the Hoosiers, they go into Eugene, take down the Oregon Ducks, 30-20. If anybody had any questions about the Indiana Hoosiers and if they are legit this year, those have been put to bed. Indiana, they move up to number 3 in this week's AP poll. We'll get to the AP poll in a minute. Big win for the Texas Tech for the Red Raiders. They beat Kansas by a big-time margin, 42-17. Then we get to USF. They went into North Texas. North Texas was undefeated. They were trying to keep that win streak alive. Couldn't get it done. USF gets a big-time win over North Texas. How about Florida going into Texas A&M? Texas A&M, big-time win for Texas A&M. They take it 34-17. Now we got USC hosting Michigan. Michigan obviously in the top 25. USC right outside the top 25. It's always tough to go into the Coliseum and get a win. USC, Mr. Maeva, they get it done. They take down the Michigan Wolverines and Bryce Underwood. And then our last game, a double overtime thriller, but the BYU Cougars, they go into Arizona and they get the win over the Arizona Wildcats. BYU currently in the top 20, they move up in the top 25 poll this week. How about the NFL? A lot of big games, a lot of upsets, a lot of storylines. We got a couple things to talk about in that. And with that being said, let's dive in to the NFL Heat Board.
1, 2, 3, let's go. Hey, are you ready? It's time for the Pwamps Show. Hey, are you ready? It's time for the Pwamps Show. Hey, Pwamps. Pwamps. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your host, Pwamps.
All right, everybody, it is time for the NFL Heat Map. Let's dive in. As you know, on your left, we've got the winners of the week, and in the top row, we've got the teams that got a win, and they looked dang good while getting their win. On your right, we've got the losers of the week, and on the top row, we've got the teams that even though they lost, they did it with style. Now, let's take a look. Let's look at your left, starting with the top row. Jackson Dart and the New York Giants. Holy crud, are they playing well right now, folks. Took down the Philadelphia Eagles at home. Jackson Dart has single-handedly turned this franchise around. He's given New York fans a jolt of life. They're feeling good. This is a huge win. You took out the defending Super Bowl champions, a division rival, in a massive win. 34-17 on Prime on Thursday night. What a win for the Giants. They're in the top row here for sure this week. They are looking mighty good. New York Giants, folks. Then you got the Kansas City Chiefs at home at Arrowhead at Geha Field, taking on the Detroit Lions. This was a battle of two Super Bowl favorites. Chiefs looked mighty good. Dan Campbell and the Lions could not get anything going. Chiefs are looking great. Patrick Mahomes is playing really well again. Isaiah Pacheco, he's running the ball really well. I mean, Travis Kelce, he's playing well as he always does, Mr. Reliable. Chiefs looked really good. Got a huge win over the Lions. They're up here. Now we go to the Seattle Seahawks. I tell you, Seahawks are 4-2. They are looking really good. Kenneth Walker in the backfield. Sam Darnold, he's the commander for this team. Seahawks are looking great right now in the NFC West. That's a congested division, but the Seahawks, look out. They're dangerous. You do not want to see them on your schedule. They are on my top row this week. Then you've got the Carolina Panthers. A 30-27 win over the Dallas Cowboys. Romeo Dowdle, this guy is running all over the field ever since the injury to Chuba Hubbard. He's making the most of this opportunity. Usually the backup, he's been getting starting reps now, and he is looking good. Bryce Young finally starting to come into his own a little bit. The Panthers, they're dangerous, and they are looking good in the NFC South. Who else do we have win this week? Well, the Raiders, they got a win over the Tennessee Titans. It was a battle of one-win teams. Raiders now have 2 wins. Big win for them. Geno Smith showed a little more poise, and a big win for the Raiders at the Death Star. Now, Tampa Bay, big win against the Niners. They were at home. San Francisco, they were playing with their backups. Mac Jones was back in again. But the injuries that the Buccaneers had to endure during this game, big win, and Baker Mayfield looking like a potential MVP favorite to start this year. How about the Green Bay Packers? They're in the winning side. It wasn't a pretty game between the Cincinnati Bengals and the Green Bay Packers at Lambeau Field. A lot of blasé play, kind of sluggish, nothing too crazy, nothing too exciting. You know it's not that much of an anticipated game when you've got the highlight is Joe Flacco is going to be starting for the Cincinnati Bengals. So lackluster game. Packers get the win though, defend Lambeau Field. The Denver Broncos, this was a pretty ugly game as well in London, 13-11. You heard that score correctly. Bo Nix and the Broncos defeat the New York Jets. We'll get to the Jets in a second. Steelers continue to look good. They took it to the Cleveland Browns. Aaron Rodgers gets his first win at Heinz Field this year. LA Chargers, they get back in the win column very badly. They needed some wins. The AFC West, the Chiefs are heating up. Chargers have got to keep pace with the Chiefs because the Chiefs are just starting those engines, folks. How about the Patriots? Another great win for the Patriots. It's unbelievable. The transformation that you have seen Mike Vrabel give to this team. They're playing with a new life. Drake May's looking great. Ramondre Stevenson, he's a tank. The Patriots are looking awesome. The LA Rams, you go into Baltimore. Usually you see this game on the schedule. You're thinking, okay, high stakes, high play, high caliber offenses, high caliber defenses. No Lamar Jackson for the Ravens. Matthew Stafford and the Rams were able to take it to him. Cooper Rush was the QB for the Ravens. Big win, though, for the Rams. Another huge win in a congested and traffic-filled NFC West. And then the Indianapolis Colts. This was tighter than a lot of people thought. It was Daniel Jones, Indiana Jones, but they get the win over the Arizona Cardinals. And guess what? The Cardinals, it was a little reunion for Jacoby Brissett. He started in place of the injured Kyler Murray, and this was a good little game. That is our winner side. Let's take a look over here now. On your right, we've got the New Orleans Saints. The Saints played well. Spencer Rattler is finally coming back into his own. We're seeing some glimpses from him. Taysom Hill has been a really big spark plug for the team ever since his return from injury. Alvin Kamara still running the ball really well. And the Saints showed some life. They did not quit in this game. Home game, big win though. A big win over here. Big loss for the Saints, but the Saints are able to respond. Maybe next week they've got some momentum coming. We'll see what happens for the New Orleans Saints. Then the Arizona Cardinals, what I was just talking about, the Indianapolis Colts. Jacoby Brissett looked good. You could tell he had a revenge game in mind as he was going against his former team, the Indianapolis Colts. Just coming up short, though, were the Cardinals. Great game. Gave a little scare to the Indianapolis Colts, who are an AFC favorite right now. It was a nice one. Then you got the San Francisco 49ers. Again, playing with only their backups. Playing with their backups against an NFC leading right now, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Buccaneers had their injuries, but here's the reason I have the Niners up here. Niners are playing without some key guys. Okay, you're still missing Brock Purdy. He came back for that one game a couple weeks ago. He wasn't ready. That was too early. He's still out right now. You're also without George Kittle. They're waiting for him to return from the IR. Are we going to see that in the coming weeks? If the Niners get healthy, this is a team right now. Mac Jones has done a good job keeping them afloat. If they get all these starters back, look out because the Niners are going to look really, really dang good. And also a reminder, Nick Bosa, he is out for the year. That's unfortunate. They lose a little bit on their defensive side. But if these guys get healthy and they get the Brock Purdy's back, they get the George Kittles back, look out because the Niners are going to be dangerous. Who else do we have on the losing side this week of things? We got the Lions. They were in that loss where they just could not get anything going against the Kansas City Chiefs. Also had a big fight kind of break out at the end. Mr. Braxton throwing a little punch at Juju Smith-Schuster. That's not good. You had two different sides of this conversation. Dan Campbell said at his post-game conference, he said, that is not going to be tolerated here. You don't hear that from many NFL coaches. Dan Campbell, we know he's a big guy. He's the Incredible Hulk. That when you hear that, you know things are going down. That's not going to be tolerated here. That's interesting to keep an eye on what happens for Mr. Braxton this week. See if there's any repercussions for that if the NFL finds him. I've heard he's also been fined like three times already this season. This is getting dangerous territory for him now. Andy Reid, then he was at his post-game conference. He says we don't know why that happened. He just went at Juju. He said Juju's nose was pretty busted up. There's a picture where you can see Juju's got some blood coming out of his nose. So things got dirty at the end of this game. It all started when Braxton walks by, wouldn't give Patrick Mahomes a high five, goes over and just lays out Juju Smith-Schuster. This was not pretty. It's not how we want to see any NFL game end, especially between two teams like the Chiefs and the Lions. Lions are on the losing side this week. Jags, they're as well on the losing side. Titans could not win the battle of the one-win teams. The Browns, they got blown out. Not many great things to say for the Browns against the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Bengals, all I can say is second half, they looked a little better, showed a little bit of life. Joe Flacco kind of got loose after the tight first half, the tight leash that Zach Taylor had him on. They let him loose a little bit. Jamar Chase looked good again. T. Higgins with some big catches. Andre Yoshevich got to be catching the ball. Bengals showed a little bit of second half life is what you could call it. How about the Dolphins? Dolphins, another heartbreaking loss. I mean, oh my goodness, another heartbreaking loss for the Dolphins. Tua was not happy. His post-game conference, he said they got guys coming into meetings late. They're all tardy. They're not on time. This is going to get really interesting to see what happens now in Miami because the Dolphins, they need some answers. Then the Ravens, they're still dying for Lamar Jackson to get back. Cooper Rush is just not getting the job done for these Baltimore Ravens. They currently sit right now at 1-5. That is not the start people had in mind when you think of the Baltimore Ravens. Eagles couldn't get anything going against the New York Giants at MetLife Stadium. Jackson Dart was throwing darts all over the field. Giants look great. Eagles really struggled. That's a bad loss for the Eagles going into MetLife and not being able to get a win. Then the Dallas Cowboys. Oh my goodness. I mean, what is going on with Jerry Jones and these Dak Prescott Cowboy teams? You lose to the Carolina Panthers in Carolina. Now, the Panthers are a young team that are looking really good. They've played some really good football as of late. This has got to be a win, though, if you talk about the Dallas Cowboys. If they want any chance of winning in the NFC, you've got to get wins. And this was one they really needed. And then on the far end, by themselves, we had the New York Jets. They're 0-6. We'll call this a little just game at the junkyard, folks. It was 13-11. What an ugly game this was in London between the Broncos and the Jets. Justin Fields got sacked 9 times. You can't not have that happen. I mean, I'm a Bengals fan. I know all about sacked lunches with Joe Burrow getting taken to the ground, getting hurried. 9 sacks, that's unfathomable. That is no way that your team can compete in any game, especially at the NFL level. Jets, 0-6. It's not looking pretty. And then tonight, folks, we have a Monday night doubleheader. Another one, and it's our first game we've got. You've got a big one. You got above me. It's the Buffalo Bills and a nice little retro uni in the Atlanta Falcons. Then at 8:15, you also have the Washington Commanders taking on the Chicago Bears in Chicago at Soldier Field. We got a lot of great stuff. You probably realize there's a couple other spots on this board missing. 2 teams on the bye this week. You've got the Minnesota Vikings and you've got the Houston Texans. Vikings are hoping J.J. McCarthy can be ready to go next week. Let's take a look at next week's schedule, folks. Let's dive in. All right, everybody. Week 7 of the NFL season is here. Let's take a look at the schedule. Who we got going? It starts Thursday night. NFL on Prime. We've got the Pittsburgh Steelers playing really good football, traveling to the jungle to take on the Cincinnati Bengals. This will be Joe Flacco's first game in Cincinnati. It's a very, very big game for the Bengals and the Steelers. Here's why. The AFC North is really, really struggling this year. You've got 3 teams that are at the bottom of the barrel in the AFC. You've got the Browns at 1-5. You've got the Ravens at 1-5. The Bengals are 2-4. What that tells you, none of these 3 teams, any of these 3 teams, the Browns, Ravens, or Bengals, they're not going to make a wild card run this year. It would take a lot. I don't see that happening. You got to win the division. Bengals have 1 win more than currently the Browns and the Ravens, 2-4. This is a massive game against the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's at home, at the jungle. If you want to have any chance of winning the AFC North, this is a massive game for both teams. A win, and the Steelers are really, solidifying their position in first place in the AFC North. A win for the Bengals, it gets a little closer. Bengals then have a little small stretch with, they've got the Jets, they've got the Bears, then they have their bye week, and they are back at Pittsburgh. So big couple of weeks for the Bengals in the AFC North. Steelers, they want this win badly. Going into Cincinnati, that would be a big one. That's Thursday night. Then we get to Sunday morning, 9:30 again. We're back in London, the Jacksonville Jaguars' second home. They play phenomenal football in London. They get the LA Rams. This should be a great game. Matt Stafford against Trevor Lawrence. We've got Sean McVay. He'll be back. You know he'll be in his sweatpants. He's ready to go. It's going to be a big one in London. Rams, Jags, fun game to watch. Then you've got the Raiders coming off that big win of the battle of the one-win teams, going to the Chiefs. Chiefs with a massive win over the Lions. They've got a ton of momentum. This is a huge game for Pete Carroll, and it's going to be a fun one to watch. That's Sunday now at 1 o'clock. That kicks off the 1 o'clock slate. Now we get into the Dolphins and the Browns. This is another battle of one-win teams. Both teams are 1-5. Somebody's going to get a second win. Who's it going to be? Is it going to be Tua? Is he going to get the boys in shape? Or is it going to be Dylan Gabriel and these Cleveland Browns at home? You know, Kevin Stefanski, the Browns are looking for that second win. They're trying to defend the dog pound. Now we go up here. Another big-time matchup. The New England Patriots, Mike Vrabel, and these guys are playing great. Drake May has really got the boys playing with some serious oomph. They're looking good. Titans, they're trying to get their second win of the year. Couldn't get it against the Raiders. They're at home. This is a big little game for both these teams. Patriots can get to 5-2. That would be a huge deal for them. Titans can get their second win of the season. That's a big moment. This is an interesting game. The Carolina Panthers and the New York Jets. You've thought of the Carolina Panthers the past couple of years. You think, man, they've been terrible. The Jets, they've kind of been right there with the Panthers. This is an intriguing game. Here's why. Panthers currently stand at 3-3. With a win, you're going to play the Jets, who are 0-6. They should be thinking coming into this game, we're going to be 4-3. The Jets are a winless team. We're going to be 4-3. Now, you look at the Jets' standpoint. The Jets are 0-6. The Panthers are a team. They're 3-3 this year. They've had really serious up and downs. They've been down here. They've had games where they play up here. This is a game the Jets can win. It's at home. This could be, if they get some things worked out in practice this week, they can keep Justin Fields upright and not with his tush on the ground. This could be, again, a big win for the Jets. The Jets could get their first win of the season. We're going to see how it plays out. Major moment, major game for the Jets. Panthers could be back with a above 500 win record, 4-3, if they can get a win over the Jets. Then you've got the Saints and the Bears. Bears obviously playing tonight on Monday Night Football. It's a big game for the Bears as they are playing against the Washington Commanders at Soldier Field. We don't know how they're going to be looking in this game. Saints just could not barely get over the hump this past weekend. So now you've got a big game here. Spencer Rattler, like we said, he's showing strides. The offense is coming along. Saints are looking a little bit better. Big game for the Bears, trying to get another win at Soldier Field. We'll see what happens, though, as we have still going at 1 o'clock. And then our finale at 1 o'clock, it's the Philadelphia Eagles coming off that loss, that shock loss to the New York Giants, where they looked like nothing was going right in the head. They're traveling to the Minnesota Vikings. This is a big, big game in the NFC, a potential NFC playoff matchup right here. Eagles want to get back in the win column. Vikings, they're coming off their bye. J.J. McCarthy, he should be healthy. We're hoping to see that, and if he is, this will be one to watch, folks. That would finish off the 1 o'clock slate. Now we move to your right-hand side of the board. We've got the Colts and the Chargers. Huge game in the AFC. Two teams right now in the AFC playoff race. Colts still with only one loss. Chargers sitting right now with 2 losses. It's at SoFi Stadium in LA. You know the Chargers are trying to get any win they can right now. I know every team in the NFL is trying to get any win they can. That's how you make the postseason. That's how you succeed at a season. Here's why I'm saying that and I'm emphasizing it. The Chiefs are looking hot. The Chiefs are looking good. Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, these guys have finally turned it on. Chargers, I know they have that they got that early season win in Brazil over the Chiefs. So right now they have that tiebreaker. They need this win. Anytime you're playing in conference, you want to get these wins. Colts, they're a powerhouse team in the AFC. This is a massive game for both teams at SoFi Stadium at 4:05 on Sunday. How about the Giants? How about the Broncos? Broncos are coming off their ugliest win of the year, 13-11 over the Jets. Giants have new life. They have new life. A lot of big storylines here. Are the Giants going to start winning some games? Are the Broncos? Are they going to get to 5-2? We're going to find out. That's Sunday, 4 o'clock slate. How about the Packers? How about the Cardinals? Well, for the Cardinals, we don't know who's playing. Marvin Harrison Jr., he was knocked out. He went into the concussion protocol. We don't know if he'll be playing. Kyler Murray, we don't know if he's playing. Jacoby Brissett got the start for the Cardinals. We don't know who is going to be back there, who's going to be on the offensive side of the ball for the Cardinals. Packers, what do we have to say? They look sluggish. Yes, they were coming out of the bye. We talked about how last week when you come out of a bye week, you can look either really energized or you can look really slow. Packers looked a little on the sluggish side. I'm just gonna say that. They looked a little sluggish. They're gonna look to get back up to speed against a Cardinals team that right now is kind of reeling. Cardinals are struggling. Jacoby Brissett looked pretty good, but the Cardinals are reeling and they need their guys back quickly. How about the Commanders in their all-black unis traveling to take on the Dallas Cowboys? Jaden Daniels has these boys playing great right now. Zach Ertz is probably one of the most productive tight ends in the league for the Commanders. He's looking good. Terry McLaurin, Scary Terry. What can you say about him? The Commanders love having this guy. The offense is scary. This is another offense that's scary in the Dallas Cowboys ever since this Micah Parsons trade where they sent Micah Parsons to the Packers. Every week, you have to keep thinking, what were the Cowboys thinking? The defense is getting trounced. The defense can't keep opposing teams from putting points on the board. It's looking really bad for the Cowboys right now. Big time game, 4 o'clock. Against the Washington Commanders. Now we get to Sunday Night Football. The Atlanta Falcons in their retro unis traveling to Levi Stadium to take on the Niners. Now again, injuries. We don't know what's going on. Brock Purdy, George Kittle. Will they be making their returns? We're going to have to wait and see. For now, we're going to say Mac Jones is under center. What do you think for the Falcons? Michael Penix. These guys are showing just a tad more fight, tad more grit. They're not laying down. Falcons have looked pretty dang good the past couple weeks. They're playing with some more heart. This is a tough test, though. Anytime you go into Levi Stadium, one of the toughest places to play in the NFL, especially when you've got a good Niners team. That's a big game on Sunday Night Football. And then on Monday night, we got another big doubleheader. Huge game, 5-1, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You were without Chris Godwin this week. You were without Mike Evans this week. You were without Bucky this week. You've got hopefully some of those guys back in this next game because you need them. You're traveling to Ford Field to take on the Detroit Lions. Lions are coming off a loss against the Kansas City Chiefs. Dan Campbell's not going to tolerate that. The guys are not going to tolerate that. This is a huge game on Monday Night Football between two teams. This is another preview of a potential NFC playoff matchup, folks. Buccaneers at the Detroit Lions. That's a fun one on Monday night. And then our Monday night finale, it's the Houston Texans coming off their bye week. How are they going to look? They're traveling to take on the Seattle Seahawks. Seahawks are looking good. Like I said, Sam Darnold. These guys are playing with some real poise right now. Sam Darnold, oh captain, my captain. He is captaining this team. The team's rallying behind him. They're finally starting to push through a little bit. Seahawks are looking good. We've got to see the fight from these Houston Texans. They've got to flip the switch, and they got to flip it right now. Some teams in the AFC, they're starting to run away, already make that early postseason position. Texans got to get some wins. That is Monday night. And folks, that is our Week 7 NFL schedule. With that being said, we got some things to talk about in the world of college football. Let's get to it. Alrighty, college football. What an insane weekend we had this past weekend. We had a bunch of upsets. We had some great top 25 matchups, but we had some big time news we got to talk about right now. James Franklin, he is out as the head coach of the Penn State Nittany Lions. This was a big time development for Penn State. Obviously, they had those 3 losses in a row right now. Started when they were at home with the whiteout at Happy Valley where they lost to the Oregon Ducks. Then they went to the Rose Bowl, took on UCLA. UCLA unleashed Nico Maeva. He looked outstanding. Jerry Neuheisel, he's outstanding as the new offensive coordinator. UCLA put up big points on the Nittany Lions. That was 2 losses in a row. So people were starting to get really scared. Is James Franklin already on the hot seat? We got our answer. They go back to Happy Valley. They lose to the Northwestern Wildcats. James Franklin, he is out at Penn State University. Let's take a look. On your left-hand side now, we've got the featured 4 for this week. On your right, we've got our other 4 games you've got to keep your eye on. I tried to do my best here at getting you guys games that I think you need to watch, that I think you should check out, that are going to be competitive, and I think we've got another good group right here. Let's take a look at your left-hand side. It all starts Saturday. We're at noon, LSU and Vanderbilt. Drew Pavia. This is a huge game, guys. LSU, Garrett Nussmeier and LSU, they're back. They're a top 10 team now. They're taking on Vandy. Vandy, that only loss of the season so far is against Alabama. It was tight. Not a lot of people thought it was going to be that tight. We got a big one here. LSU at Vanderbilt. Both teams currently sitting at 5-1. This is a great game to kick off your Saturday. It's at noon on Saturday. Then we go down low. We take it from noon all the way to 7:30, folks. Here we go. What do we got at 7:30? We've got Tennessee and Alabama. This is a huge game. Ty Simpson, the quarterback, has really emerged, shown us what he can do for the Crimson Tide. They take on the Tennessee Volunteers. This is another big SEC matchup. 2 teams, once again, that are 5-1. Huge game, 7:30 on Saturday night. Then we go down here, the USC Trojans. I've had them on this board a couple times because they're proving to be one of the most fun teams to watch this year in college football. Mr. Maeva, he's back in action. That is right. He's going to take on Marcus Freeman and his heavily loaded and vengeance-fueled Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Notre Dame, ever since the rough start to the season, they've looked like a new team. They are tough to play against. Major test here, 7:30 p.m., big-time rivalry. Whenever USC and Notre Dame get together, it should be fireworks. It's going to be a fun one. 7:30, the Trojans, the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame. That is at 7:30 on Saturday night. Who finishes off our featured 4? Well, this is a good one, folks. We've got the Utah Utes. The Utah Utes right now taking on Bear Burmarker, and the BYU Cougars. What a game this is going to be. Bear has shown he can lead this team. BYU, they're now well into the top 20 in the AP rankings this week. They're still undefeated in the Big 12. Think about that. BYU undefeated in the Big 12. This is a huge game for the Utah Utes. They're in the top 25. They're hanging on at number 23 in this week's rankings. This is a great game. 6-0 BYU. 5-1 Utah Utes. It's at the Cougar Stadium. Folks, this is going to be a good one. That finishes our featured 4. Now let's go to your right side of the board. Who do we have over here? We've got Friday Night Lights, folks. Friday Night Lights between the Nebraska Cornhuskers and the Minnesota Golden Gophers. Now, why do I bring this game? Dylan Raiola. Okay, everyone was saying Dylan Raiola, he was the next Patrick Mahomes. There were a couple games he was maybe showing us that ability. That sort of halted at the start of the season. There were a couple really rocky games. Nebraska's had some tight games. Now we get a chance. They're going to take on the Minnesota Golden Gophers, and this is a big Big Ten battle. Okay, you got 5-1 Nebraska. They're in the top 25, the number 25 in the country. Traveling to Minnesota, the Golden Gophers are 4-2. This is a tough game on Friday night. It's one that you might want to tune into. It could be a fun one. Now, who do we have down here? You're probably thinking, oh, Philip, Boise State again. Pwamps, what are you doing? This is a good game. And I tell you, folks, it's probably one of the biggest games left in the Mountain West schedule. UNLV, they sit at 6-0. They're not in the top 25 yet. They've squeaked out some really big wins. Boise State, 4-2. Maddox Madsen picked it up last week. The boys played a little better. This is a huge game. UNLV wins this game, they're going to be 7-0 on the year. Schedule favors them down the stretch. Boise State needs a big win. This is at home. Another big opportunity, though, for UNLV to show us that they are the master class, the elite of the Mountain West. Will we see it? We're going to have to find out. Then we have Old Dominion, the Monarchs, taking on James Madison. This is some Sun Belt action. Old Dominion, 4-2, traveling to take on the Dukes of James Madison. James Madison, 5-1. This is a big game. This could have big repercussions on who is first place in the Sun Belt. This is Saturday, folks. Keep your eyes out. That's going to be a good one. And then I talked about them a little bit already. What a fun game we have here, okay? We've seen the UCLA Bruins now. They've had this resurgence. Wait, is that? Oh my Lord, that is the Bruins helmet on the board. Mr. Neuheisel, yes, the offensive coordinator. He's kicking tail. Nico Maeva, he is back. And I mean, Mr. Neuheisel has totally unleashed Nico Maeva. This guy is playing with a new confidence and just a new level of play. He's taken his play to the next level. They did not play well at the start of the year, the UCLA Bruins. They looked horrible. They look like, I just vomit right into the trash can bad, okay? Now they're playing like potentially one of the most highly explosive offenses in the Big Ten. I mean, in college football. They're putting up points, folks. 2 wins. Obviously, you had that massive Penn State win, and then you went to Michigan State, and you got a nice little win there. You've got a set of tests, though, coming up. Let's talk about this for 1 second. We're talking about the UCLA Bruins. They're 2-4. Here are their next games. They've obviously got this game against Maryland. Maryland's 4-2. This is not a slouch of a team, okay? Then UCLA travels to the Indiana Hoosiers. That is not an easy game. That is a big-time game for the Bruins. They obviously finished the year with that USC game. They still have Ohio State on the schedule. They have a big matchup with the Washington Huskies. It's a tough schedule, but we have a storyline. And the storyline is, can the Bruins make a bowl game? Can the Bruins finish the season 500 and above and get into a bowl game? This is a huge game against the Maryland Terrapins. Terrapins are 4-2. They're playing really well. They had a great clash with Nebraska just last week where both these teams were sitting at 4-1, and it was Nebraska who came out on top. But that could have gone either way. Big opportunity for the UCLA Bruins back at home. It's funny, I've been to the Rose Bowl for a couple UCLA games. There are no fans going to these games. Maybe now the team's playing a little better. They had the win over Penn State. They've now had 2 wins in a row. Maybe we can get some fans into that stadium. It would be really cool to see because that venue, it's one of the most historic in all of college football. It deserves to be packed. And right now it's not. But maybe, just maybe, we can get it back to that way for the Bruins. UCLA and Maryland. That's a big game. That's our other 4, folks. This is our featured 4. Now, we got something else to talk about. Let's get you caught up on the MLB Major League Baseball postseason. All right, everyone, the MLB postseason has been electric, and we have finally reached the championship series of the American League and the National League. Only 4 teams are left standing. Let's take a quick look at how we got to these last 4 teams. The Toronto Blue Jays, they took down the New York Yankees in a 3-1 series to punch their ticket to the ALCS. The Seattle Mariners, they took down the Detroit Tigers 3-2. It went Game 5. Game 5 went 15 innings. It was a pitcher's battle until Jorge Polanco had an RBI walk-off to send the Mariners to the ALCS. Now, on the National League side, the Dodgers, they took down the Philadelphia Phillies in a 3-1 series. They punched their ticket at Dodger Stadium. They are back in the NLCS, the defending World Series champions. And then how about the Milwaukee Brewers? They went 5 games against the Chicago Cubs. The Cubs, they had a lot to play for. The Brewers had a lot to play for. The Brewers get it done. They are in the NLCS. Now, let me give you a quick update on a format change. We've had a best-of-3 series in the wild card round. The divisional was best-of-5, and now we are at best-of-7. So Pwamps, how does that work? Well, let me break it down for you. The higher seeds, so in this case, in the American League, that's the Toronto Blue Jays. In the National League, that's the Milwaukee Brewers. They will host the first 2 games. Games 1 and 2 will be in Toronto. and then they will be in Milwaukee. How about games 3 and 4? Games 3 and 4 in the American League, they will be in Seattle, and in the National League, they will be in Los Angeles at Dodger Stadium. Now, where it gets a little more tricky, game 5, 6, and 7. First of all, those are all if necessary. If a team wins 4 games, they win the series 4-0, it's over. That does not happen very often, especially when you're this far in to the postseason. But hey, you never know. This is sports we're talking about. But if we get to game 5 in the American League, that would be back in Toronto. In the National League, that would be back in Milwaukee. How about game 6? Well, if we get to game 6, that is in Seattle in the American League. In the National League, that is at Chavez Ravine in Dodger Stadium. How about game 7? Yep, you guessed it. The Toronto Blue Jays would host game 7 in the American League, and the LA Dodgers would be on the road traveling to Milwaukee as the Brewers would host game 7. Brewers and Blue Jays, they're the number 1 seeds. Blue Jays in the American League, they're the number 1 seed, and in the National League, the Brewers are the number 1 seed. Folks, we're getting down to it, okay? It's already had 1 game in the books in the American League. You've got the Seattle Mariners. They went into Toronto. Cal Raleigh, he got the job done. The big dumper, he got off the schneid, hit a homer. The Mariners lead that series 1-0. A lot of fans in Toronto, they are worried because of how depleted the Mariners pitching staff was after that 15-inning battle with the Tigers. Now what are we going to see? I don't know. A lot of nervous fans in Toronto. Mariners fans are absolutely thrilled. How about the National League? That all starts tonight. Blake Snell is on the mound for the Dodgers. Huge game. Brewers, Dodgers, game 1 tonight, folks. Hey, if you like what you saw on this week's Pwamps Sports Show, why don't you do me a favor? Click subscribe, leave a like, leave a comment. Let me know what you think about what's going on in the world of sports this week. Is there an NFL game you're looking forward to? Who's going to win these championship series matchups? I don't know. It's going to be fun. Let me know what you think about anything sports. I'm here to talk about it. It's been fun. We will see you on Friday with the entertainment show. Be ready to tune in. Folks, it's been fun. See you then.